You've been fighting battles that were never yours to fight. You've been losing sleep over storms that were never meant to drown you, only to develop you. But today, I came to tell you something that will shake your soul when you've done all you can. When your strength runs out, your plans crumble and your heart trembles, that's when God steps in. That's when the unseen hands begin to move in places you cannot reach. Don't panic, don't quit, just stay still, because God is handling what you can't. There comes a time in every person's life when the weight becomes too heavy, the fight becomes too fierce, and when the answers just won't come. You've prayed, you've pushed, you've cried, and yet nothing seems to move. Hear me today. Sometimes it's not about doing more. Sometimes it's about standing still and trusting that the one who brought you this far has already gone ahead of you. You see, peace doesn't come from control. Peace comes from surrender. The same God who parted the sea, who closed the mouths of lions, who brought dead things back to life, he's still moving. You may not see it, but he's working behind the curtain, arranging every piece of your life according to his design. So while you're worrying, heaven is working. While you're trying to fix it, God is finishing it. Stay still, because the battle isn't yours to fight, it's his to win. Stillness is not weakness, it's trust. Most people think that when they stop moving, when they stop fighting, when they stop trying to control everything, they've somehow lost. But the truth is, real strength is not always in motion. Sometimes it's in restraint. Real power is not always in what you do, but in what you choose not to do. Stillness is not given up, it's given over. A challenge is the moment you look at the battle before you and realize this is bigger than me. This is not my fight to win. This is God's fight to finish. We live in a world that celebrates constant motion. Society tells you that if you're not grinding, you're losing. If you're not moving, you're falling behind. Every message around you screams, do more, be more, fix it yourself. But God's message often whispers the opposite. Be still and know that I am God. It's a quiet command, but a powerful one. It's not about passivity, it's about posture. It's not about inactivity, it's about intentional trust. It's choosing to stop wrestling with what you were never designed to carry and letting the Creator handle what only He can. Sometimes stillness is the hardest discipline to learn because it feels unnatural. You want to move. You want to speak. You want to fix it. What if your movement is what's delaying the miracle? What if God is saying, you keep putting your hands on things I've already taken responsibility for? Stillness requires maturity. It takes faith to step back and say, even when I don't understand it, I trust Him. Even when I can't trace Him, I'll trust Him. Because real trust isn't proven when things make sense. It's proven when everything looks uncertain and you still choose to rest in His promise. Stillness doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop controlling. It's the peace that says, I don't have to chase what God has already assigned to me. It's when you recognize that your worry doesn't change outcomes, your fear doesn't speed up results, and your anxiety doesn't invite answers. What it does is drain your strength. And some of you are tired, not because of the weight of your battle, but because you've been carrying what was never meant for your hands. You've been trying to open doors that only obedience can unlock. When you choose stillness, you're telling heaven, I believe you've got this. It's a declaration of faith that silences fear. It's saying, I'm not going to let panic drive me when peace has already been promised to me. The most powerful people are not always the loudest ones in the room. Sometimes the strongest person is the one who keeps silent in storms, who doesn't react to every attack, who doesn't chase every rumor, who doesn't fight every battle. They know their worth, they know their source, and they know that when God fights, victory is inevitable. Think about a seed planted in the ground. It doesn't move, it doesn't push, it doesn't demand. It simply stays still. But beneath the surface, something powerful is happening. Growth, transformation, preparation. The soil is shaping the seed for its season of breakthrough. That's what God does when He tells you to be still. You may feel buried, but you're really being planted. You may feel forgotten. you're really being prepared. You may feel stuck, but you're really being strengthened for the next chapter of your destiny. Stillness doesn't mean stagnation. It means divine synchronization. It means aligning yourself with God's rhythm instead of rushing ahead in your own. You see, when you try to move before it's time, you end up frustrated. But when you stay still long enough to hear God's direction, your steps become guided, your pace becomes peaceful, and your outcome becomes certain. Some of the greatest miracles in history didn't come through chaos. They came through calm. The sea didn't part until the people stopped running and stood still. The storm didn't cease until the disciples stopped panicking and called out in faith. Stillness is also protection. When you're still, you're not reacting emotionally. You're not making hasty decisions. Opening doors out of desperation. You're giving God the chance to reveal what's real and what's not. Sometimes He'll use stillness to expose who's truly with you. When you stop moving, you'll see who stops calling. When you stop trying, you'll see who was only around for what you could do for them. Stillness clarifies relationships. It shows you who's divine and who's distraction. And there's another truth. Stillness takes humility. It's admitting that you don't have all the answers, that your power has limits, that your wisdom is finite. It's saying, I'm not God and I don't need to be. The moment you release control, peace begins to flow, because God can't fill hands that are already full of your plans. You've got to let go. And you've got to trust that even when it feels like nothing's happening, everything is happening in His timing, in His way for your good. When you stay still, you begin to see what you couldn't see before. The noise fades and revelation rises. You realize that what looked like delay was actually direction. What felt like rejection was redirection. What seemed like silence was actually strategy. You learn that God's stillness is not His absence, it's His alignment. He's aligning people, places, and moments to meet your purpose at the exact time He designed. So if you're in a season where nothing seems to move, don't panic. If the doors aren't opening, don't force them. If the answers aren't coming, don't chase them. Be still, because stillness is not weakness. It's faith under control. It's power under peace. It's you saying, God, I trust you enough to wait. I trust you enough to stand. I trust you enough to let go of what I can't change. Because at the end of the day, real strength is not about how much you can handle. It's about how much you can hand over. And when you hand it over, heaven takes over. When you stay still, you allow God to move. And when He moves, nothing can stop what's coming your way. When you stop fighting, God starts fighting for you. That's the point where surrender meets strength. Most of us spend so much of our lives trying to control the uncontrollable. We fight with people, we fight with problems, we fight with our own thoughts, as if our strength can change what only God can shift. There comes a time when you realize that all your pushing, all your striving, all your worrying has only exhausted you, not advanced you. Because some battles were never meant to be fought with your hands. They were meant to be fought with your faith. You see, as long as you're trying to fight everything on your own, you're telling God, I've got this. And as long as you say, I've got this, He'll let you have it. But the moment you say, I can't do this anymore, I don't have the strength, I don't have the answers, I don't have the control, that's the moment heaven steps in. Because God doesn't fight where you refuse to surrender. He doesn't move where you insist on managing it yourself. He waits until you let go, until you drop your weapons of worry and say, God, trust you more than I trust my own ability. That's where the real shift begins. Because when you stop fighting with your limited strength, you make space for unlimited strength. When you stop trying to manipulate outcomes, you give room for miracles. When you stop clinging to your own plan, you give God permission to unfold His. You may think you're helping, but sometimes your effort is actually interference. God can't complete what you keep trying to control. He can't bless what you refuse to release. There are moments in life when everything in you wants to react, to fix it, to defend yourself, to prove your point, to make something happen. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is nothing, not out of fear, but out of faith. It takes strength to stay quiet when your flesh wants to fight. It takes courage to stand still when your emotions are screaming for action. That's where spiritual power is born, in the tension between what you feel and what you believe. You have to believe that God can do more in one moment of favor than you can do in a lifetime of force. When you stop fighting, it doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you choose your battlefield wisely. You stop fighting people and start fighting in prayer. You stop fighting circumstances and start fighting to stay in peace. You stop trying to control outcomes and start controlling your reactions. You start trusting that what's too heavy for you is perfectly handled by Him. Because the truth is, God never loses a battle. The only reason it feels like you're losing is because you've been fighting on the wrong level. You've been trying to fight spiritual battles with physical energy. But this kind of victory doesn't come through striving, it comes through surrender. You let God fight for you, things start to move that you couldn't move. People begin to shift, hearts begin to soften, doors begin to open. You'll see the same situation that once broke you suddenly start blessing you. And all you did was step back and trust. Because when God fights, He doesn't just fix it, He transforms it. He doesn't just remove the obstacle, He redeems the pain. The hardest part is the waiting. When you've done all you can and nothing changes, it's easy to feel forgotten. But waiting is not wasted when God is involved. He's not ignoring you. He's organizing things for you. He's moving pieces you can't see, arranging conversations you haven't heard, setting up opportunities you haven't imagined. And if you could see what He's doing behind the scenes, you'd stop fighting and start praising. You'd stop panicking and start resting, because your stillness is not in action. It's faith in motion. There's a moment in every journey when you have to decide, do I trust my strength or do I trust His promise? Your strength is limited. His promise is limitless. Your power runs out, but His never does. That's why He sometimes allows you to reach your breaking point, not to destroy you, to deliver you. Because when you've exhausted everything you can do, that's when you're finally ready to see what He can do. Think about how many times in your life you tried to fix something and made it worse. You tried to rush something that wasn't ready. You tried to open a door that wasn't meant for you, and it only brought frustration. But when you finally stopped pushing, when you finally stepped back and said, God, I'm tired of fighting this, things started to shift. That's not coincidence. That's divine timing. That's God saying, now that you're out of the way, I can take over. Sometimes you have to lose control to gain peace. Sometimes you have to stop explaining yourself, stop defending yourself, stop proving yourself, and let God be your defender. Because when He fights for you, your victory is undeniable. He doesn't need your strategy. He needs your surrender. He doesn't need your strength. He needs your stillness. He doesn't need your panic. He needs your peace. So if you've been wrestling with something, a relationship, a decision, a burden, maybe the battle isn't yours anymore. Maybe it never was. Maybe God is saying, let me handle it. Maybe He's waiting for you to drop the weapons of worry, to put down your pride, to step back and let Him step in. Because when you stop fighting, He starts moving. When you stop speaking, He starts speaking for you. When you stop pushing, He starts positioning. The beauty of it all is that when the battle is over, you'll realize it was never about the fight. It was about the faith. God wasn't testing your ability to win. He was teaching your heart to trust. He wanted you to see that victory doesn't always come through striving. Sometimes it comes through surrender. And when you truly learn to let go, when you truly stop fighting and hand it to Him, you'll discover a peace that surpasses understanding and a victory that was already written before you even started the fight. Faith grows strongest in silence. It's in the quiet seasons when nothing seems to be happening that faith is truly built. We all love the moments of celebration when prayers are answered, doors open, when everything feels alive and moving. But real faith isn't forged in noise or success. Real faith is formed in silence. In those long, still moments where it feels like heaven has gone quiet and all you have left is belief. Silence is not absence. It's the space where your trust is tested. I'm care enough where your roots are deepened and where your heart learns to depend on something greater than what it can see. Most people are comfortable with faith when God is speaking, when signs are visible, and when direction is clear. But what about when he's silent? What about the moments when you pray and the heavens don't answer? When you cry out and all you hear is your own voice echoing back? That's where real faith is proven, because faith is not believing when you hear, it's believing when you don't. It's not trusting when you understand, it's trusting when you're confused. It's not holding on when you can see the outcome, it's holding on when you can't see anything at all. In silence, you begin to confront your doubts. When the noise stops, when the distractions fade, your heart has no choice but to face the truth. Do I really trust him? Was I only trusting what he was giving me? Silence exposes the difference between faith and outcomes and faith in God. When everything is still and no answers are coming, that's when you find out what your faith is made of. Because anyone can believe when the blessings are flowing, but it takes real faith to believe when the blessings seem to pause. Sometimes God uses silence not to punish you, but to prepare you. He's building endurance in the unseen places of your soul. Just like a seed beneath the soil, there's growth happening underground. The seed doesn't hear the rain coming. It doesn't feel the sunlight yet. But deep in that darkness, it's developing strength. It's learning to push through pressure before it ever sees the light of day. That's what silence does for you. It strengthens your spiritual muscles. It teaches you to trust even when you can't trace his hand. Silence of God can feel unbearable, but it's never empty. In those quiet seasons, he's teaching you patience, molding your character, refining your spirit. You start to see that your prayers are not ignored, they're incubating. They're incubating. Every delay is developing something inside of you. Every unanswered question is shaping your wisdom. Every pause is producing perseverance. The silence of God is not a sign of neglect, it's a sign of nurturing. He's letting your faith mature so that when the answer comes, you'll be strong enough to handle it. Faith doesn't grow when life is easy. It grows when life is quiet and confusing. It grows when you have every reason to walk away but choose to stay. It grows when you feel forgotten but refuse to give up. That's the kind of faith that moves mountains. The faith that has been through silence and still stands. Because silence doesn't destroy faith. It defines it. It teaches you to lean not on your feelings, but on his faithfulness. It reminds you that your emotions may change, but his promises never do. Some of you are in that silent place right now. You're praying for direction, for healing, for clarity, and it feels like nothing is happening. You check every sign, you analyze every moment, and still heaven seems quiet. But let me tell you, this silence doesn't mean God stopped working. Silence often means he's working deeper than you can perceive. He's doing something you're not ready to see yet. If he showed you now, overwhelm you. If he answered too soon, it would underdevelop you. So he stays silent, not to hurt you, but to strengthen you. It's in the quiet that you learn to listen differently. You begin to hear his whispers in your spirit instead of waiting for shouts from the sky. You learn that faith isn't built on feelings, but on trust. You begin to realize that even when you don't feel him, he's still there. The sun behind the clouds, his presence never disappears. It's just hidden for a moment to teach you how to believe without sight. That's the maturity of faith, learning to walk by trust, not by visibility. When life gets silent, your mind will try to fill the emptiness with fear. It will tell you, maybe God forgot me, maybe I messed up, maybe I'm alone. But silence is not abandonment, it's instruction. It's God saying, be still and let me do what you cannot. You don't have to hear him to know he's near. You don't have to see results to know he's real. You just have to hold your peace and remember that faith is not built in answers. It's built in waiting. There's a special kind of peace that only silence can teach. It's the peace that comes when you stop demanding explanations and start resting in expectation. It's when you finally stop trying to figure everything out and start trusting that he already has. Because faith doesn't need details, it needs direction. That direction often comes in whispers, not in noise. So if you find yourself surrounded by silence, don't despise it. Don't let it discourage you. Let it develop you, because one day that silence will break, the doors will open, the answers will come, the breakthrough will arrive, and you'll realize that the silence wasn't wasted time. It was sacred time. It was the space where your faith grew up. It was the moment when your roots went deeper than your emotions, when your trust became stronger than your questions, and when your belief outlasted your doubt. Faith grows strongest in silence because silence strips away everything that's fake. It removes the noise, the opinions, the distractions, until all that's left is you and God. No applause, no signs, no clarity, just trust. And that's where the most powerful kind of faith is born. Faith that doesn't depend on what it sees, but on who it knows. The faith that whispers, even when I can't hear you, I still believe you. That's the faith that changes everything. That's the faith that moves heaven. That's the faith that turns silence into strength. Your peace is proof that you trust His plan. Peace isn't the absence of problems. It's the presence of assurance. It's that calm confidence that settles in your soul even when life doesn't make sense, even when everything around you is shaking, even when you have every reason to panic, but you choose not to. Real peace doesn't come from control. It comes from surrender. It comes from knowing that your life is not falling apart. It's falling into place according to a greater design. When you truly trust that God is in control, peace becomes your posture. You don't have to force anything. You don't have to chase anyone. And you don't have to worry about what's next. You rest, not because everything is easy, but because you know everything is handled. Peace is not something you wait to feel after everything works out. Peace is what you choose before it does. It's that decision deep inside your heart that says, I don't understand this, but I trust Him. You can't always predict outcomes. You can protect your peace. You can't always stop the storm, but you can stay calm in it. Because peace doesn't depend on what's happening around you. It depends on who's holding you together. When your faith is anchored in the one who never fails, you stop being moved by what fails around you. There's a difference between peace and comfort. Comfort is circumstantial. It depends on everything going right. Peace is spiritual. It depends on knowing the one who can make everything right, even when it looks wrong. Peace says, even if this doesn't go the way I hoped, I'm still safe in His hands. And that's a powerful kind of strength, because the enemy can take your plans, but he can't take your peace unless you give it to him. When you guard your peace, you guard your power. When you protect your peace, you protect your purpose. Peace doesn't mean you stop feeling. It doesn't mean you become emotionless or detached. It means you've learned to feel everything, but not be ruled by anything. You've learned that your emotions are real, but they're not always right. You've learned that when the storm rises, you don't have to react. You can rest. You can let the wind blow. You can let the waves crash, but you don't have to let them drown you, because you know who's in the boat with you. You know who said, "Peace, be still," and made the sea obey. The same voice that calmed the waves is the same voice that speaks inside you when everything feels out of control. Peace is not passive, it's powerful. It takes strength to stay calm when life gets loud. It takes faith to stay still when your heart wants to run. Peace is not weakness, it's warfare. Because every time you refuse to be shaken, you're telling the enemy, you can touch my situation, you can't touch my spirit. Every time you choose calm over chaos, you declare, I trust His plan more than I fear this problem. Peace becomes your weapon and trust becomes your defense. There's a maturity that peace brings. When you first start your journey of faith, it's easy to panic when things don't go your way. You question, you doubt, you worry, you ask, why me? But as you grow, you begin to see that every delay had purpose, every disappointment had direction, every closed door was protection. That's when peace starts to fill the gaps where confusion once lived. You stop needing to know a why and start being content with a how. Because if you know who's guiding you, you can survive not knowing why it's happening. Peace doesn't mean your circumstances are perfect. It means your perspective is. It means you've stopped measuring God's goodness by your comfort and started measuring it by His consistency. He's been faithful before, He'll be faithful again. So why panic now? Why doubt what's already been proven? Every storm you've survived so far is proof that his plan still stands. You wouldn't be here if his hand hadn't been on you. You wouldn't have made it through what broke others if he wasn't working behind the scenes. That's why peace is such a powerful testimony. Tells the world, I know something you don't know. I know who holds my tomorrow. The truth is, peace doesn't always mean quiet circumstances. Sometimes peace means having a calm spirit in the middle of chaos. It means standing in a battlefield with a steady heart. It means walking through uncertainty with unshakable trust. It's not that everything is easy. It's that you've decided to believe that even the hard things are part of his plan. And that belief gives you a stillness that the world can't understand. People will look at you and wonder how you can smile when everything is falling apart, how you can stay gentle when people mistreat you, how you can keep going when the way ahead is unclear. But what they don't see is the peace that comes from knowing you're not walking alone. There are some battles you win not by fighting harder, but by staying calmer. Peace allows you to see clearly. When you're anxious, you make quick decisions. When you're peaceful, you make wise ones. When you're restless, you react. When you're peaceful, you respond. Peace gives you patience. It reminds you that what's meant for you will come to you. Not because you chase it, but because you trust the one who promised it. When you truly believe that his timing is perfect, you stop rushing, you stop comparing, you stop stressing, you start breathing again. Sometimes God doesn't change your situation because he's using the situation to change you. He's teaching you to depend on peace instead of proof. He's showing you that you don't need everything to make sense to be secure. You just need to know that he's working. Even when you can't see how, you learn that peace becomes your default response to life. You stop being tossed by every wave. You stop losing sleep over what's beyond your control. You start walking with quiet confidence, knowing that everything meant for your harm is being turned for your good. Peace is proof that you've stopped questioning his plan and started trusting his purpose. It's a sign that you've moved from fear to faith, from anxiety to assurance, from chaos to confidence. And when you live in that peace, you become unstoppable. Because nothing the world throws at you can shake a heart that's rooted in trust. So, no matter what you're facing, hold on to your peace. Guard it. Protect it. Nurture it. Because your peace is not just a feeling, it's evidence. It's proof that you know who's in control. That's more powerful than anything that comes against you. Delay doesn't mean denial. That simple truth can change the way you see everything you're going through. Because the hardest part of faith isn't believing that God can do it. It's waiting while he doesn't. It's standing in that in between space where your heart is full of hope, but your hands are still empty. You've prayed, you've trusted, you've done everything you know to do, yet the answer seems far away. But hear this clearly, God's delay is not his rejection. When he delays, it's not because he's forgotten you, it's because he's preparing you. There's something sacred about waiting. Waiting breaks pride. Waiting builds patience. Waiting develops depth. It's in the waiting seasons that you grow roots deep enough to sustain what's coming. Because sometimes asking God for a blessing that your character isn't yet ready to carry. You're praying for doors to open, but God knows if he opens them too soon, you might walk through unprepared, so he waits, not to punish you, but to prepare you. Because if you receive something before you're ready for it, what was meant to bless you could crush you. Delay teaches dependence. It strips away your illusion of control. It makes you realize that time doesn't belong to you. It belongs to him. You can't rush what God is orchestrating. Every second of delay is a thread in a divine design you can't yet see. You may feel like nothing is moving, but heaven's clock is never late. God is not bound by your deadlines. He's not pressured by your impatience. He moves according to purpose, not panic. And when his timing finally unfolds, it will make sense why he made you wait. There are seasons where everything feels still, where your prayers seem unanswered and your faith feels tested. You wonder, did I miss something? Did I do something wrong? Did God change his mind? But the silence and delay is not absence, it's preparation. God often hides progress inside of patience. You might not see it yet, but he's aligning the right people, arranging the right timing, and shaping your heart to handle what you've been asking for. Because what looks like delay on earth is often divine coordination in heaven. Think about Joseph in the prison, waiting years after being promised greatness. Think about David anointed as king, but still tending sheep for years. Think about Sarah waiting decades for a promise to be fulfilled. None of them were denied, they were developed. And the same is true for you. The delay is doing something in you that immediate answers never could. It's building resilience, it's stretching your faith, it's deepening your trust. When God finally brings what you've been waiting for, you'll appreciate it in a way you couldn't have if it came easily. Delay also reveals motives. Sometimes we want the blessing more than we want the one who gives it. But when God makes you wait, He's not just testing your patience, He's purifying your priorities. He's asking, do you love me for what I do, for who I am? Waiting exposes whether your faith is rooted in desire or in devotion. And when you learn to love Him even when nothing's moving, that's when you step into true maturity. Because faith that only works when things go your way isn't faith, it's convenience. Real faith stays steady in the silence. You might be tempted to compare your journey with others. You'll look at people who seem to get answers faster, who seem to move further, and you'll wonder why your turn hasn't come yet. But every purpose has its own pace. What's delayed for you might be dangerous for someone else. God's not giving them something before you because they're better. It's because your story is different. Your preparation is unique. Your calling has layers that take time. So don't let comparison convince you that God has overlooked you. What's meant for you is protected, even when it's postponed. The danger of delay is that it can lead to discouragement. When you wait too long, you start to doubt. You start to lose expectation. That's when you must remind yourself that delay doesn't erase destiny. God's promises are not fragile. They don't expire because time has passed. What He spoke over your life is still alive, even if you can't see it right now. Just because the seed hasn't sprouted doesn't mean it's dead. It's buried. And buried things often look like dead things until resurrection day. In your waiting, don't waste the delay. Use it. Grow in it. Teach you how to be faithful in the unseen. Let it shape your patience, discipline, and gratitude. Because when the breakthrough finally comes, it won't just change your situation, it will change you. You'll carry a strength, a humility, a depth of gratitude that only waiting can produce. People will look at your peace and wonder how you stayed so calm, and you'll say, I learned to trust His timing more than my feelings. And when that long-awaited moment arrives, when the door finally opens, prayer finally gets answered, you'll see that every second of delay was necessary. You'll look back and say, if it had come earlier, I wouldn't have been ready. If it had come when I wanted it, I might have lost it. You'll realize that God wasn't withholding. He was arranging. He wasn't delaying. He was developing. So if you're in that waiting room right now, hold your peace. Don't let frustration make you forget the promise. Don't let impatience make you take matters into your own hands. Trust that the God who started it will finish it. He's not slow, He's strategic. And when the time comes, it won't be a moment too soon or a second too late. You'll step into what you've been praying for, and you'll understand that delay was never denial, it was destiny in disguise. Sometimes the reason God tells you to stay still is because movement can make you miss the miracle. When life becomes uncertain, instinct is to do something, anything to fix it. We rush, we plan, we force, we worry, we try to control what's beyond our reach. But when God says, stay still, He's not asking you to do nothing. He's teaching you to trust that He's doing something. Staying still doesn't mean inactivity. It means inner peace. It means learning to be calm even when everything around you feels chaotic. It means standing in faith when your emotions want to run. There are moments in life when all your efforts seem to fall flat. You've tried every solution, exhausted every option, and nothing changes. Those are not moments of abandonment. They are moments of alignment. God is positioning you to witness His power without your interference. He's saying, you've done enough. Now let me take over. The problem is we don't like letting go. We want to see progress. We want control. We want the comfort of knowing what comes next. The stillness God calls you to is not about knowing. It's about trusting. It's about surrendering your need to understand and learning to rest in His wisdom. Stillness is not weakness. It's strength under control. It's the kind of strength that says, even if I don't see the way, I trust that there is one. It's what happens when your spirit decides to stop wrestling with life and starts resting in God's timing. Because there's a peace that can only come when you stop striving. You can't hear divine direction when your mind is loud with panic. You can't see where God is leading when your focus is clouded with fear. Stillness clears the noise. It brings your heart into alignment with heaven. It opens your eyes to see that what looks like stillness on the surface is actually motion in the spirit. Sometimes God delays movement to prevent missteps. He knows that rushing will make you reach for what's not ready. He knows that acting on impulse will lead you to places that can't hold your purpose. So He allows the pause. And though the pause feels like punishment, it's really protection. He's not keeping you from something. He's keeping something for you. If you move too soon, you might enter doors that were never meant for you. But if you stay still, you allow God to open the right doors that don't just lead to opportunity, but to destiny. You see, staying still doesn't mean you stop believing. It means you stop interfering. It means you choose faith over frustration. It means you let go of the illusion that you're in charge of outcomes. You might not see it yet, but while you're standing still, God is working behind the scenes. He's shifting hearts, moving mountains, rearranging paths, and aligning circumstances. He's doing in secret what you couldn't do in sight. And when the right moment comes, everything that seemed delayed will unfold perfectly, not because you forced it, but because you trusted Him with it. The hardest part of staying still is fighting your own impatience, because the mind screams, do something. The flesh cries, take control. But faith whispers, wait. Waiting feels uncomfortable because we're conditioned to equate motion with progress. We think if we're not moving, we're not growing, but that's not how God works. Sometimes your greatest growth happens in your quietest seasons. Sometimes progress looks like peace. Sometimes advancement looks like waiting. Because it's in the still moments that God does His deepest work. The kind that can't be seen, only felt. Stillness is also where revelation is born. When you're quiet enough to stop talking, God can start speaking. When you stop complaining about the situation, you start hearing direction. The noise of fear and anxiety often drowns out His voice. But when you still your soul, you create space for clarity. That's when ideas come. That's when comfort returns. That's when you realize that the same God who calmed the storm can calm your heart. And once your heart is still, even the storm loses its power. There's a story of the Israelites standing by the Red Sea, trapped between Pharaoh's army and an impossible ocean. In that moment of panic, God didn't tell them to run. He didn't tell them to fight. He said, stand still. See the salvation of the Lord. Because there are battles that belong to God, not you. There are problems that can't be solved with your hands, only with His word. When you stay still, you give Him room to fight for you. And when He fights for you, victory is certain. Stillness also tests trust. It asks, do you believe that God can handle this without your help? Many people can praise God when they're moving forward. Few can praise Him while standing still. It takes faith to worship while waiting. It takes strength to stay peaceful while pressure builds. It takes maturity to say, I don't know what's happening, but I know who's in control. That's the kind of stillness that breaks fear, because once you trust His sovereignty, you no longer need to rush His strategy. Staying still doesn't mean you're giving up. It means you're giving it over. It's saying, God, I've tried my best, but now it's your turn. And in that moment of surrender, peace starts to flow. You'll realize that you were never meant to carry the weight of everything. You were never designed to fix every detail. That's why He said, be still and know that I am God. Knowing that He's God means accepting that you're not. It means releasing control and resting in the truth that He's capable. He's faithful, and He's working even when you can't see it. So when the world tells you to rush, to worry, to push harder, choose the opposite. Stay still, hold your peace, breathe, trust, because sometimes standing still is the strongest thing you can do. Sometimes silence speaks louder than struggle. Sometimes rest is the greatest act of resistance. And when you finally let go, when you stop forcing what's not flowing, you'll see that the moment you became still, heaven started to move. God doesn't need your panic. He needs your patience. Because while you stay still, He's handling everything you can't. When God closes one door, it's not because He's forgotten you. It's because He's protecting you. Every closed door, every missed opportunity, every disappointment you didn't understand was part of a bigger plan. Sometimes the very thing you're crying over is the thing God blocked to save you from greater pain. We don't always see it in the moment. We see rejection, we see failure, we see loss. But what we call rejection, heaven calls redirection. God knows what's ahead, and if He closed that door, it's because it wasn't meant to hold your purpose. You were asking for access, but He was giving you protection. It's human nature to want to push against closed doors. We say, if I can just make this happen, if I can just get that person to stay, if I can just convince them to see my worth. But when God closes a door, it won't open, not because He's cruel, but because He's kind. He's saving you from what you can't see. You think that door leads to blessing, but God knows it leads to heartbreak. You think it's your breakthrough, but He knows it's a breakdown waiting to happen. And if He lets you have it, cost you more than you're ready to pay. Sometimes closed doors are the loudest answers to prayer. You asked Him to lead you. You asked Him to protect you. You asked Him to keep you in His will. So when He shuts something down, that's His answer. That's His now wrapped in mercy. You don't see the danger He saw. You don't see the storm He shielded you from. All you see is loss. But heaven sees your life from beginning to end. God doesn't close doors to hurt you. He closes them to reroute you to something better. Something you wouldn't reach if you stayed where you were. It's painful when doors close, relationships end, opportunities disappear, dreams crumble. But what if those endings were really beginnings? What if that heartbreak was the setup for your healing? What if that missed job was the opening for your purpose? God's no always makes sense later. Right now, it hurts because you're looking at it from the ground. But when you rise above it, when time passes and perspective grows, you'll see the pattern. You'll see that every closed door led you exactly where you needed to be. There's a divine sequence in how God works. He'll close one door not to leave you stranded, but to get you to move. Because as long as that door is open, you'll keep trying to go back. You'll keep clinging to what's comfortable, even if it's not meant for you. God loves you too much to let you settle for less than your destiny. So He closes it. Not with cruelty, but with compassion. Because if you won't leave what's hurting you, He'll close it off to make sure you can't return. Closed doors test your faith. They make you question everything. You wonder, why would God take this from me if He loves me? But love sometimes looks like separation. Love sometimes looks like protection disguised as disappointment. Just because you wanted it doesn't mean it was right for you. God sees what's ahead, the tears, the traps, the temptations, and He says, no, not this way. He's not rejecting you. He's redirecting you towards something that won't destroy you. You think you lost something, but truthfully, you were saved from something. There's beauty in the doors that don't open because they build your trust. When you stop fighting closed doors and start trusting God's timing, peace replaces frustration. You realize that the closure you hated was the grace you needed. You stop mourning what didn't happen and start thanking God for what didn't break you. Some of the best things God ever did for you are the things He didn't let happen. The relationships He ended, the jobs He didn't give, the paths He blocked. No was His way of steering you toward a greater, yes, sometimes God closes doors to teach you detachment. You can't cling to what's temporary and still reach for what's eternal. You can't hold on to the past and expect to walk freely into the future. So he lets things fall apart, not to hurt you, but to free you. He lets people walk away so you can learn that your value doesn't depend on who stays. He lets opportunities pass so you can learn that your purpose isn't defined by what you do, but by who he's shaping you to become. Every closed door becomes a mirror, showing you what you were depending on more than him. When God closes a door, your job isn't to bang on it until your hands bleed. Your job is to trust that he knows what he's doing. The same God who shuts one door can open another, one that fits your purpose, one that leads to peace instead of pain. The closed door might make you cry now. The open one that's coming will make you grateful later, because you'll see the difference between what you wanted and what you needed. You'll see that his plans were better, higher, and safer than yours. And when that new door finally opens, you'll look back and thank him for the ones that didn't. You'll thank him for not letting you marry that person, for not letting you take that job, for not letting you stay in that place. You'll realize that if every door you wanted had opened, you'd have missed the one that was meant for you. God doesn't close doors to end your story. He closes them to redirect your path, because his purpose doesn't end where yours does. It begins there. So if you're standing before a closed door today, don't lose hope. Don't question your worth. Don't think it's over. Take a breath and remember, if that door was meant to open, nothing could have kept it shut. If it's shut, it's because something better is waiting ahead. You might not see it yet, but one day you'll look back and realize that the closed door was never rejection. It was redirection. God wasn't saying no to your future. He was saying, not this way. Because he's not just guiding your steps, he's guarding your soul. And when you finally walk through the right door, you'll understand that every along the way was leading you straight to your destiny. Life throws you into the fire. It's easy to assume that something has gone wrong. It's easy to believe you're being punished, forgotten, or abandoned. But the truth is, the fire is not always there to destroy you. Sometimes it's there to develop you. God doesn't use comfort to shape character. He uses challenge. He doesn't use ease to strengthen faith. He uses adversity. The fire you're walking through is not meant to consume you, but to purify you. It's in the heat of pressure that the true strength of your spirit is revealed. We often pray for God to remove the fire. Sometimes the fire is the very tool he's using to refine us. You can't become gold without being tested by flame. You can't grow into who you're meant to be without walking through seasons that burn away what's holding you back. Every trial has a purpose. Every painful season is forming something in you that couldn't be formed in comfort, because fire exposes what's fake and strengthens what's real. Strips away everything temporary, so only what's eternal remains. It's in the fire that your faith becomes genuine. When everything is going well, it's easy to say you trust God. But when everything is falling apart, when the job is gone, when the relationship ends, healing doesn't come as fast as you hoped. That's when your faith is tested. And real faith isn't proven in prosperity, it's proven in pain. It's proven when you can still say, God, I don't understand this, but I trust you anyway. That's faith forged in fire. That's faith that can stand storms, withstand losses, and still rise stronger. The fire also reveals who's truly with you. When life gets hot, everyone will stay. Some people are only comfortable when things are easy. But the fire has a way of filtering relationships, separates the ones who were connected to your comfort from the ones connected to your calling. Don't mourn who left you in the fire. Thank God they did. Because if they couldn't handle your struggle, they don't deserve to share your success. Sometimes God allows the fire to show you who's truly for you and who was just passing through. Every trial you face is part of your preparation. Uses adversity to build endurance. He allows pressure to produce power. You can't carry heavy blessings with weak faith. So he puts you through seasons that make you stronger, wiser, and tougher. What feels like breaking is actually building. feels like loss is actually molding. You may not realize it now, but the very fire that's burning you is shaping you into something unshakable. Because endurance isn't learned in the easy seasons. It's learned when you have every reason to quit but don't. Think about how a diamond is made. It's formed deep underground, under immense heat and pressure. If it were removed too early, it would remain just carbon, dull, unfinished, and ordinary. The same is true for you. You're being refined in the hidden places. The pressure you're under is not punishment. It's preparation for promotion. God is working in the dark to bring out your brilliance in the light. You can't see it yet, but when the fire is finished, you'll come out stronger, purer, more radiant than before. Sometimes God allows the fire to correct your focus. We get distracted by comfort. We get caught up in things that don't matter. When the fire hits, suddenly you realize what truly counts. The fire has a way of burning off distractions, forcing you to look up again. You start praying again, believing again, depending again. What the enemy meant to destroy you actually draws you closer to your purpose. The fire doesn't just change your circumstances. It changes your priorities. It brings you back to what's eternal. It's easy to want out of the fire. Nobody enjoys the pain, the waiting, the uncertainty. But if God doesn't pull you out yet, it's because the work isn't done yet. He won't let the fire burn longer than necessary, but he also won't let you leave until the refining is complete. You'll know it's done when what once broke you no longer controls you. When you can stand in the same heat that used to crush you and say, I've been through worse and I'm still here. That's when you know the fire didn't destroy you. It developed you. The fire also gives you testimony. When you come out on the other side, you carry proof that God is faithful. People will look at your life and wonder how you survived. They'll see your peace and your resilience, and they won't understand how you made it. You'll know. You'll know it was the fire that made you stronger. You'll say, if I hadn't gone through that, I wouldn't have found my strength. If I hadn't faced that storm, I wouldn't have learned to stand. The fire gives you a story that helps others find hope in their own. When you finally step out of that season, you'll notice something beautiful. The fire didn't burn you, it purified you, it didn't leave scars, it revealed strength. You'll walk differently. You'll speak differently. You'll live with a quiet confidence because you know what it's like to be refined and not consumed. You'll realize that the fire didn't come to end you, it came to elevate you. The pain pushed you closer to purpose. The hardship taught you endurance. The trial showed you that God's presence doesn't always prevent the fire, but it always preserves you in it. So if you're walking through the fire right now, don't run from it. Walk through it with faith. Don't see it as punishment. See it as preparation. Because there's something on the other side of this flame that's worth it. The fire you're in today will be the fuel for your future. And when you come out, you won't come out empty-handed. You'll come out wiser, stronger, purer, and ready for the next season of your life. The same fire that once scared you will become the proof of your strength. Because the truth is, the fire never had the power to destroy you. It only had permission to develop you.